Okay. Good afternoon. This is Sandra from Maryland Crime Victims Resource Center. I thank you for joining our Lunch and Learn. It's always hard to start off like when you start talking. We try to do these lunch and learns every month so that we can share information with people that are out there on different topics that might be affecting you or someone that you know. So if you feel that there's someone in your social media or something like that that could benefit from learning about safety planning, please feel free to share this. Once it's all recorded, it'll also be on YouTube, Facebook, and Facebook to grab just whenever you can watch it about safety planning. So thanks for joining us. Joining me today is our Deputy Director, Joanna Mupanduki, and Talia and Hannah from Center for Abused Persons that is located in Charles County. So we're gonna do some quick introductions and then we'll hop right in. So I guess Joanna, you can start.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joanna Mupanduki. I'm the Deputy Director at Maryland Crime Victims Resource Center. I am an attorney. I have worked as a staff attorney for victims' rights for MCVRC for 3 years, in addition to experience working for the state government and in a different state, and as well as being a prosecutor. So I have prosecuted a lot of domestic violence cases, and I have helped many clients as they go through the legal process as victims of domestic violence and walking them through that. So a little bit later, we'll talk about a little bit what the legal side is about, but a very important part, and one thing I can't do, is safety planning, and because you need a safety plan when you are in a domestic violence situation. So we're very excited to have our guest today.
Yes, thank you, Joanna. Talia?
So my name is Talia. I am the program coordinator at CAP. I work alongside the Sheriff's Department. If they ever have to come out for a call, they usually do a lethality assessment. It's called a LAT. It's 11 questions, and those 11 questions, depending on how they're answered, would determine if someone is at a high risk of having domestic violence and still at a higher rate, or if they're a lower rate. At that time, I would contact the person and I would ask if they would need any type of assistance as far as it relates to filing a protective order, or if they even need someone to go to court with them just to help them maneuver through the system. That's one of the things that we do offer. I'm also the AIP coordinator, which is Abuser Intervention Program, and it is the Maryland Certified Prevention Program for Abuse. It's a 26-week program, and we facilitate that as well for the abusers.
Thank you so much, Talia. Sorry, and I wrote it down too so that I wouldn't mess it up. So I apologize. I'm going to get it right.
No problem at all.
All right, Hannah, you're up.
I'm Hannah from the Center for Abused Persons, and I'm the community outreach specialist. So I do presentations in the community and make connections as much as possible.
I understand. Perfect. Thank you so much. And thank you, ladies, for joining us. I know that this has been a topic, even with our advocates on the legal side, is because we've been hearing those words a lot. And although safety planning sounds like it could possibly be self-explanatory, sometimes things are not, and there's like little intricacies. So we definitely want to learn more about that. I know that our advocates have been told to either, tune in live or watch this on the back end when they have a moment, like if they're in court already, just because, it helps us to help other people that need it. Right. And I think that, it's not just advocates that are trying to help people, family members, friends, something's going on with someone that you care about. Like, you want to try to convey as much information as possible. So let's hop right into these questions that we have. So what is a safety plan and who needs one?
Okay, so a safety plan is basically the plan to make it out safe from a domestic violence relationship. And basically anyone can plan a safety escape. And it doesn't have to be from a relationship. When we talk about safety plan, we just talk about always being safe. So even with my daughter, when she was in college, safety planning, in the event that you have to evacuate your dorm, what do you do? And we had advised her of taking a book bag, some water, some emergency information, making sure, she had the important documents that in case it was a fire, that she would be able to have those things. So when we think about domestic violence relationships and intimate partner relationships, we want to do the same thing. We want to be able to help that person escape. So when we talk about safety planning, we talk about important documents, clothing in case you need to get away for one night. We talk about having someone that can provide escape, where it's maybe a set of keys somewhere else, whether it's documents, social security cards, some cash here and there, birth certificates of you and the kids. And then you want to be able to say, if I call you at this time, or if I give you this keyword, then I am in danger and it's my time to exactly leave at this time, meet me here. So you kind of put it in plan. You think of a fire drill.
Yeah, and I love that you included a sample about your daughter just being at college, because I know that my husband and I and our daughter, when she was at college, it was very similar. Like we had, she was a little further from us, so
Yep.
Like if something happened, who was the next safe person that was closest? And at the time it was like a friend of our, my husband's sister. Like it wasn't even like one of us, but it was just somewhere where you're right. I mean, especially with, the mass shootings that have been going on at colleges. Yes. Or things that are going on. So I love that you put it in those terms, and thank you for that. And I definitely would not even think about those documents. Already I'm learning already. So thank you for that. That was good. Yeah. And so you talked about this assessment, right? That people do 11 questions.
Yes. So it breaks it down into two categories. And the first is immediate. So question 1, 2, and 3 is, have your partner ever strangled you or choked you to cut off your air supply? Number 2 would be, have they ever threatened to kill you? And number 1, of course, is, do they have a weapon and are they not afraid to use it? So if you answer between question 1, 2, and 3, you're automatically considered high risk. Questions 4 to 11, you have to score at least 4 of them to be able to be screened in. And they consist of, do you have kids with this partner that they know are not theirs? Are they unemployed? Have you left them and they contacted you trying to get you back? Have they followed you or stalked you? So those kind of questions. And then between the 11 questions, again, depending on how you score, that will create an alert that the police need to put you on a high risk and involve, other people, other organizations, saying this person is really at a high risk. What can you do to help them? And that's when we would call and ask and tell them about our services and see if we could be of a help to them. Do you even know that it's help out there? Do you know that you're not alone? Do you know that, you can file a protective order? Do you know that you can, after hours, call the commissioner's office? Those things, when somebody's in distress, those are the last things that people think about.
And wow. So Talia, just to clarify, when we're talking about these factors and making somebody more at risk, is this to be more at risk to be in another domestic violence incident? And are we also talking about increased violence?
So we're talking about the relationship that they're in at that moment, the increased violence. So if you answer, question number 3 is, have they ever strangled or choked you? If they answer yes, then to us, that's a red flag of escalation. At any point in time, this person can be choked and lose all air, immediate death. So that's one of the things that the police officers are concerned about, is when you answer those questions 1 to 3, it immediately puts you on high risk. So when we talk about the assessment, that's for the relationship that you're in right now at this very moment. And if it's, depending on different jurisdictions, I know for us, they contact us immediately. And sometimes we are allowed to speak to the victims and explain to the victims the kind of services we offer If the victim refuses services at that time, I still can call them back within 2 to 3 days just to see if they are even willing to talk to us or if they need some further assistance, whether it be counseling, whether it be, like I said, protective orders, going to the hospital. So that's something that we provide throughout that LAP assessment.
So yeah, and I think that I had I don't know if I read it or I watched it somewhere, but just information that I've gained was that a lot of times, like those life-changing events is what takes people from like a verbally abusive relationship to something that's more physical. So like pregnancy, you know, things like that. So, you know, if you've already finding yourself in these questionable circumstances, then it's important for you to come up with a safety plan, you know, for your
Yes.
safety. So just in case something happens. Right?
Just in case. Just like
I do
we
wanna add,
have insurance. I'm sorry. Just like we have insurance, just in case. So
Just in
yeah, okay. Hannah.
we're talking about safety planning. I think one branch of the safety planning that gets left out or overlooked is it's also for those who they know they're in a dangerous relationship, a dangerous situation, but they know that right now is not the time to leave. So how can I, you know, help myself stay in the relationship and, you know, for the next couple months or the next however long they need to,
Right.
but stay alive and be okay. So there's, you know, a couple different like elements of it, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that for those of us that even have even a little bit of experience, like myself, with domestic violence, as far as hearing people like being financially unable to move, like you can't just go and get a hotel or get your own apartment. Like it's not, you know, you have 4 kids, and who has space for you and 4 kids to live in their home? You know, usually. You know, when we have extra space, we're not talking about space for an entire family. It's usually you've got a couch that someone can crash on for, you know, whatever, or, you know, share a bed for a little bit. But when you know, the more you multiply people, the harder it is to find accommodations that are so willing to take you in. So thank you for that. So let's, I guess, go through the steps of coming up with a safety plan. Are there specific things that they should be talking about? I know you said, you know, grabbing important documents and maybe finding accommodations,
Yes.
transportation.
Finding that go-to person, preparing a go bag, so something that's quick and easy, a safe place where you can keep those documents. Also, medical records, especially when kids are involved, having extra copies of those. Keys, like Talia mentioned, and if you need to give those keys to a trusted friend. And one thing too that has been kind of interesting, something that I never thought of until I was looking into it, I think last week. I was kind of prepping a presentation for a different thing. But kind of having an excuse. So if you need to up and ditch in the middle of the night and maybe you're caught in that situation, oh, well, you know, just something quick on your feet. But also, let's say if that go bag with all the important things is found by the abuser, have an excuse. Well, that's, you know, that's a bag in case there's ever a fire or in case we had to evacuate the house. So kind of deflecting away from what the bag really is, you know. And just having anything and everything that you can think of, especially when kids are involved, in that bag that's hidden in a place too, preferably I feel like somewhere that's close to the door or easy to access, not somewhere, you know, if you have stairs in your house, you might not want to hide it upstairs because if you're trying to evacuate, it's kind of like we see the horror movies and, you know, the person always runs upstairs scared, like, no, don't run upstairs, you know, somewhere that you can access it and then go without being trapped. But definitely having a dependable person too. Code words are great. Just all of those things.
All right. Yeah. And so I had a lot of questions, and then they kind of floated out of my head for a second. I think that so when you're preparing your safety plan and you're preparing a bag, of course you need to think about who's coming with, right? Like, you know, you're bringing the kids and they need some clothes and, you know, all the things that kids need. Or if you have an infant, you know, Lord knows what they come with. They come with like a whole like truck full of stuff. So, you know, you've got to minimize what you can fit into a bag so that you can, you know, make your escape if need be. So that's an important component as well.
Right. And one thing that we didn't touch on, but people never think about, is the kids. So a lot of time when you have school age kids, let the school know what's going on, because that child's school may be the one thing that can get you out. So it may be something where I have to go to the school, something's wrong, or I have to go to the school, there's something, and the school already knows, because you've created your safe words. The school knows that no one's allowed to come pick up my kids but me. And in the event that my child doesn't come to school for 2 or 3 days, it may be something wrong. Or, I've come to the school is my safe space. Can you please call the police? The police will be able to get you out. So it's like little small things that are second nature to some people. The person who's fighting for their life is going to think of everything that's going to potentially save their lives.
Right. And I think that, I think the hard part about that is the school. Unfortunately, the school is the hard part in that, because I think that the other person, if they're the other side of the parental unit, they have rights to that child.
Mm-hmm.
And so now we're talking about legal stuff, right? Like now we're really kind of chomping down, and I'm going to pull Joanna right in, because, you can say no one's allowed to pick up my kid, but unless you have documentation, will the school necessarily support you? Because if you're the mom and the biological dad is also on the pickup, because you got to, you do all those forms on the first day of school. It's the parental homework on who can pick up and who can't.
Yeah.
Would they just not
So a lot of times, yes, but more than enough. We've worked with a lot of parents who actually file protective orders, or they're on the side doing child custody, and they've already went to the school and was like, "Here's my protective order.
Right,
I'm
so
still at the home
already."
Right, like I'm still at the home. The protective order is in place, but the protective order says that Joe X isn't allowed to hit me or abuse me, but they could still be in the home. So that piece of paper, I mean, it can go a long way, but then it does get touchy when you're like, no, I have custody. Well, I have joint custody, or I have physical custody. But I mean, we do have people that live in the same household, and there's a protective order in place. It's weird. And it sounds crazy. Like, how can you have a protective order, but you're still in the same house? It happens because they have nowhere else to go. They have no financial help.
They're stuck.
And so a lot of times they're stuck. And so it's like, okay, I'll just do the protective order. If you promise not to hit me, I'll stay. And I've seen a lot of cases where they stay because they don't have anywhere else to go.
Yeah. Yes, I think that we are all very aware of how hard it is to get out when it comes to the finances of leaving. I think we've become more aware as a society as to what that looks like. And we did do something on not only human trafficking, which was very eye-opening for me, because they were talking about like human trafficking in home, because you're taking away, it's like part of that domestic violence can also be human trafficking, taking away people's independence, because, you're not working, you don't have this, you don't have that. And so I think it does get a little sticky. And we also did a lunch and learn in just a little while ago in December on the Peace Order Protective Order and ERPO, the Extreme Risk Protective Order. So a lot of these, if you're watching this at home, or if you're sharing this, that was December's lunch and learn on what a ERPO is, which is the Extreme Risk Protective Order. And it's if your significant other, or the person that is the violent person, has access to guns, that they'll come and take them away. And there was a couple of cases where those didn't go in place soon enough. And, the end result was one that we would never wish for. So, it's important for us to all kind of know that those are out there, so that we can, if it's not for yourself, that you can provide guidance to other people. So those are out there in YouTube land, if you want to grab them. But I think that the peace and protective orders, those are based on person, right? Joanna, help me here, because I think that, right, ladies, those, like, if your child's not on the protective order.
Yeah,
so you can
apply for your child. Yes, you can apply for your child for other people in your household, but it only has to be your minor children. And it can enjoin certain things. It can prevent them from living at your home. It can prevent them from, like Talia was saying, not hitting you. It can just be, okay, the protective order is you're not allowed to hit, because the thing with a protective order then is if you violate it, that's its own separate criminal charge, in addition to if it was an assault or whatever other criminal charge that might be.
Right. And okay. So my understanding is that you can't just include kids. I could be wrong. You guys would know better than me. This is where I start breaking things down. Here we go. So my understanding is that you can't necessarily have your child on there if they were not part of that violence. So like if assuming husband, because I think we all kind of stereotype that it's that way, but it could be, the violent person has never laid hands on kids, just on you. Could they be included in a protective order?
They could be. And it all depends on what the circumstances are and why that child would be in danger. And so that's all.
They'll ask you, right? Don't they ask you?
You have to write it into the protective order why that child needs
Right. Yeah. It's a section under relief. And you will be able to write what you actually want the judge to grant. So,
Okay.
And that's like another, I think, seminar that maybe someone should have, would be a seminar on how to fill out a protective order. What are the steps from
writing it down right now?
like what are the steps from start to finish? Because some people think that, oh, I go to the court, the judge issues me this temporary order, and they think it's over with. And so when they come back in 7 days, they think, it's over. It's not over until the person actually is served. So people are like, oh, I got a protective order, but it doesn't go in effect until that person is served. And then after that person is served, you have to come back to court within the 7 days. So if you just get the temporary and then you don't come back, it's like it never happened. And so it's sad when you go to court and then people don't show up because they're like, oh, I already got it, I don't have to come back. No, you have to finish it through. So I just feel like if we had a seminar on the steps and how to create and fill out the protective order and see it all the way through, knowing that once you get the final, it's good up to a year. In the event that something happens between that year, you just can call the sheriff's office and say, I'd like to report somebody violating the protective order or peace order, and it's a violation, and then it basically adds more time on, or they are arrested. And so those things, a lot of people don't see or don't understand. They just see, oh, it's just a protective order. But I just think that if we had more information for some people to be able to navigate through that system.
Yeah, and you guys do protective orders there as well, correct? Do you guys help with that? And you do accompaniment too.
Yes.
And I think that some of our other partners that do DV, IPV things, I think they all do like accompaniment to try to help with the protective order.
Yes.
And I think that's where, Joanna, we don't, right? I mean, we could, but we don't necessarily.
Yeah, we don't necessarily, because it is considered a civil matter, and our organization is funded to assist victims of crime in their criminal case. And so we can provide some court accompaniment if we have advocates who are available to do that, but we do not file for protective orders at this time.
Right. And so I think it's after that we would get involved. MCVRC would get involved after the fact for criminal charges.
Well, it can be at the same time. It can be prior to a protective order. It's just a protective order is another way to provide protection that can be sought within 30 days of any incident that makes a person fearful and feels that they are in need of a protective order.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think let me think if there was other things that we wanted to touch, because I felt like that was a lot, because the kids' school, and then if the kids are included in the protective order, I don't know anything about that stuff. Like, would you need to provide a copy to the school? Because I feel like the schools are funny, right?
Yes.
Like they really they're like, okay, let me see your divorce paperwork, and you're like, okay. I mean, and you want to make sure that you're filling in all the things that need to be filled in, because when you're leaving, and you're leaving with the kids, like you want to make sure that everyone is staying secure. Sorry, my dog is trying to mess with something he's not supposed to be doing. And but you want to make sure that you're kind of like that it's coming full circle, and that way
Right.
other things can happen if that person does get a hold of the kids, right? I mean, because it's all the bad things that could happen
Right.
at the same time, and so you just really want to make sure that you are informing everyone that needs to be informed.
Right. Like I had a lady who, she made her school aware. She made her housing complex, like her landlord aware, that no one else is on my lease but me. So if there's a
Nice.
thing where somebody said they need to get in my house or they don't have a key, she was like, no, just remember I'm the only person on my lease. So I mean, it's just things when somebody's after you, they will do anything that they can do.
Say anything.
Say anything. They'll say, hey, I have the plumber out, the plumber's on their way, want to know if you're home, just so they can know where that person is, just to get to the house. So when we think about circling back to safety planning, it's so much more detailed, learning how to go more than one way to your house. And that's, I actually know, 3 or 4 ways to get to my house. And I never understood, why should I know how to get home? What if something happens? What if someone is after me? What if there's an emergency? Just learning those things, second nature, you just never know. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of tie real life things, situations that I could be able to provide to my clients. Just, everyday scenarios, it can play into your safety planning.
For
I
sure.
think tech safety, talking about kids in schools and stuff, made me think of technology, of course. The tech safety piece of it too. And along with knowing different ways home. So know the different community resources that are there, what public libraries offer computers. So that way when you're going, and part of your safety plan journey is to find a safe location, because you need a safe destination to end up to. So do you need to find a new house to live in, a new complex, instead of looking up those things up in the house, because the abuser oftentimes has access to all technology in homes, finding a safe computer, a safe place outside of the home to do your research, just as an extra layer of precaution.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Was there something?
Really quick? I know Hannah said technology. Make sure that you're on your devices, your locations are turned off so that nobody can track you. We say it's good so that 911 can know where you are, but it's bad because your abuser can find you. So
Right.
just, again, technology and just safety, just everything that we think about when we're talking about being safe.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that, because I know that even in like some of the things that I think about a lot, and I come from like a different space. I think we all come from a different space when it comes to like using social media and what have you. And I do I share a lot on social media. I do. But like I never share when I'm on vacation until I get home. Like that's just something that, and I think that like, if you're in these different situations, like you're a little bit more thoughtful to them. So this is an instance where you want to be thoughtful, and you want to disengage with some of the normal practices that you might have been participating in, just to make sure that you are a little bit more incognito as you're trying to, make your departure from an unhealthy situation. But you guys both touched on resources, so I wanted to circle back to that. So CAP, Center for Abused Persons, is in Waldorf. You guys only do Charles County, right? And so if someone from St. Mary's County or Prince George's County came to you, you guys can still provide like input for another organization that can help them in the same capacity.
Yes. So we have several of resources. So in the event that someone from St. Mary's County calls us, we do have resources basically across the state. We even have out-of-state resources, so that if somebody needs to go somewhere else, or if they have family in North Carolina, we can say, oh, wait, we have a Safe at Home program in North Carolina. Here's the information. So we do carry lots of resources, and we don't necessarily turn anybody away. If there's some way that we can help the next person, even if it's with counseling, we will. If the therapist allowed that time on their space, we will allow that person to receive services from us. So, I mean, we basically do only Charles County, but we definitely will help other people out as well.
No, we appreciate that. And, you know, we're very similar. Our advocates have, like, if someone comes to us first, we've got a lot of, you know, partners out there like CAP and other organizations that are within Maryland and some outside, because it just happens. I mean, we're kind of in this tri-state area. And, you know, we border all kinds of states when it comes to Maryland as a whole. So it's really important for us to kind of keep our finger on the pulse as to who we can use, just in case some DC or Virginia or whatever trickle in. We want to make sure that we're helping people, because that's the point of nonprofits. And, you know, we want to stay true to our mission regardless. So I appreciate that. And I wanted to share that as well. So if you viewers at home are watching and you want to call these ladies because you're like, hey, I saw you guys and that was great info, and I think I'm ready, just call, you know, take the first step and call whoever you are comfortable with. And let's see if we can, you know, put all the puzzle pieces together. And I know that there were two other things that we wanted to talk about. I definitely want to get into the criminal side with Joanna, but I know that you guys also wanted to talk about the Safe at Home program, which is through our governor's office. So I'll let you lead off on that, and then I'll just button back in.
Hannah, you want me to go, or do you?
Yeah, you go ahead and go. We can just.
Okay.
You're great at explaining it, so I'm like.
So the Safe at Home program is very exciting. So you can actually become invisible. If you have a protective order, or if someone has pending charges for like second-degree assault against you and the state has picked it up, there's a program. It's free of charge. It's called the Safe at Home program. You will come into certain organizations, CAP being one of them, and you will file an application with us. We will send all of your paperwork in, and they would see if you fit the program. In the event that you do qualify for the program, they will send you more information, and you would basically, all of your addresses, it will be nothing online. Your motor vehicle registration, all of that becomes basically Jane Doe. Like, you exist, but you don't exist. So basically, we get to hide you. Any school records, any permanent records that has your name on it will then basically become invisible to whomever. You will still be able to get your mail, but they would give you a different address. Nothing on your license would have your address. It would have a phony address on it. And so it's something for me that I enjoy, because it gets to have people to become basically self-sufficient. They're able to obtain the jobs and have the information that they need to be able to basically start over again without having to look over their shoulders for the most part. And it's being able to feel safe knowing that they're the only people, maybe a handful, who have filled out the application and everything, that know where they are.
Part of the application process too, and the reason why they want, you know, an organization to kind of walk you through the application process is because the piece of it, or a big piece of it, is, you know, do you have a safety plan in place? Because if, you know, I'm sure they kind of look at it as, if we're providing this, you know, for you, it needs to be, you know, you're kind of doing your part to make sure you have a safety plan. So it's not just for no reason in a way. So that's definitely why that, you know, different organizations help with that application process.
Yeah.
And so Safe at Home will be at our resource fair. Buttons right in. Our resource fair is at Watkins Regional Park on April 20th. Attendance is free. It's a 5K. Nonprofits are invited to table for free. So you can learn about other organizations and resources that are in the community. This is great for not only us as organizations that reach out and want to know what everybody does, so that we can kind of connect the dots. But it's also great for community members to just know what's available. You know, I think that part of not being able to get out of situations, particularly domestic violence situations, is not knowing that there's a resource that can help you with maybe a space that you can't fit in, finding a job, or getting a protective order or anything like that, housing, just getting an Uber out of there. I mean, just whatever it is that they can help you. And even if you leave with no clothes, there's places that give you food. There's places that give you clothes. There's, places, and starting over is scary. But you've got friends that you don't even know that you had, just waiting to try to accommodate and help you. So anyway, I digress. Our resource fair is also a 5K. It's a timed 5K. If you want to get timed, it is at cost, but attendance is free. Come on out, do the walk, get inspired, learn about resources, all the good things. Watkins Region Park, April 20th. Registration starts at 8. The walk starts at 9. We're usually out of there by 11. Spend a morning, go out to brunch, whatever. So you can learn more about them and some other programs that are also from the governor's office, because we've got a couple tables that are coming out from them, and then from different communities. If you ladies have availability, of course, you're more than welcome to come out and join us. Okay, so that was that. What else did the resources? Anything else you guys wanted to add before we jump into the criminal part? Thinking. Okay.
Does it have to be on safety planning?
I guess not.
I mean, kind of, because I just wanted to throw our peer group out there.
Yeah.
So we have peer group that is the second Thursday of every month, and it's at our location, and it's from 7 to 8. And then we also, on Wednesdays, we now are trying to promote One for Teens. So the teens is Wednesdays via Zoom. So if anybody has any teens that would like to talk about what's going on around the school, healthy relationship, red flags, green flags, safe touches, we are ready to provide that information, and we're just willing to listen to see what kind of services we could provide to teenagers.
I love that. I love that for the teens. Thanks for interjecting that. And although not safety planning, that's fine. Sharing info, got to share info. I love it for teens because it's so important for them to know that just because your family may have accepted some type of violence or verbal violence or, whatever, and you saw unhealthy relationships growing up, you don't have to accept it. You do what's right for you. And I feel like, we've got to grab our teens early on so that they know that they're better than that. And so that hits home. And I know that my kids have dealt with other people that have gone through some unhealthy teenage relationships.
Right.
It's important for us to intervene and really kind of share that knowledge so that it doesn't get any further. And then I wanted to circle back to, so it's like we're not going to ever move forward, but to the Safe at Home program. That's not only for domestic violence, though, right? I feel like that's also for homicide survivors. Joanna, isn't that correct?
I don't think it's restricted to domestic violence.
Yeah.
You have to be a survivor of crime. No stalking. You can certainly do it. Any situation where you're showing a threat to you and your safety.
Yeah. So I want to say that. Trying to think if this was the program before I blurted out, but I believe that I hate to, I'm trying to close my mouth and not say it, but I really do feel like it's necessary. If I'm wrong, I apologize. But I want to say that there was a case where a woman's son was it was like an attempted homicide or something like that. And then when that person got out of the holding for court or what have you, they also needed to participate in that program because, when people come out of jail, they go back to the same place that they were a lot of times. And it's in the same neighborhood where someone may not have moved. And so it was one of those where the family continued to stay where they were. And then when the defendant came out of jail.
That's a different program. You're thinking about relocation versus Safe at Home.
Okay, so I just Googled real fast, and it says that the Safe at Home programs protect those people and families and individuals who are fleeing, threatened and attempted in actual domestic violence, human trafficking, sexual assault, and stalking. Also, persons with the greatest security or private concerns due to employment as it qualifies for the program.
Okay.
And so
That was
basically,
that attorney case, the attorney that was.
it keeps your address safe. So if
Yes.
the person already knows where you live, this
Yeah.
It
program
doesn't
does
work.
not help you
Okay.
It doesn't work.
unless they don't know where you live or you've moved to a new location.
Right.
And so that's when you need Safe at Home. It's
Okay.
not helpful if it's your neighbor who lives next door and you're not willing to move, that type of thing.
Oh, my neighbor. So yeah, okay, great. Thank you for that. I was like, oh my God, I could be wrong. And that's why I was so hesitant to share it, because I was like, am I thinking of something else? Again, not an
But
advocate.
it brings up a good point as to when you need it and when it's effective, and when it doesn't work in some situations.
Yeah, because I know that happens a lot with police officers as well, because they drive like their cruiser home, and so that like the cruiser's right there, like people know where they live, even though, whatever. Anyway, so okay, thank you for that, and thanks for fact checking me right away so that it wasn't, it was dispelled very quickly. So I appreciate that. Okay, so Joanna, do you want to hop into if you guys think of something, I'll give you one more chance before we. Do you want to hop into the criminal side? I know that I did mention that we did a domestic violence lunch and learn that was specifically for domestic violence. I kind of broke down in that one. I know exactly what I broke down, because I was very confused as to why domestic violence was civil and how it could be criminal. And the reason why it just really irritates me and aggravates me is because I can go and put hands on Joanna and she can file criminal charges, but domestically it's not quite the same. Anyway, that's what the lunch and learn is about. So if you are interested in finding out about criminal versus civil charges as it pertains to domestic violence, that one was October of 2022, is one of the first ones we did. Our first lunch and learn was September of 2022. So the following month I did that because it came up on a staff call and I was like, wait, what? Why would you ever? And so I had to get educated on, what that was all about, because it was, to me, it was like unfathomable. But anyway, I digress again. So we're talking about safety plan, how you can be safe, the things you need to do. And once it's all said and done, MCVRC takes care of criminal cases only. And then Joanna, do you want to hop in as far as like what they need to do, what they need to come to us, and how we can help?
Yes, I think a few things that are important to point out is it's very important to maintain your integrity throughout the process, because you don't want to be the person who keeps saying, no, that didn't happen to me. No, it didn't happen to me. And then, okay, now I know they're really not going to stop. Now I'm saying that it did all happen, because the criminal justice system is very much about, well, you told something different last time. It's all about if you have the same consistent statement, those types of things. So one of the great things about safety planning is that it's something you're going to keep coming back to throughout the process. It's going to be, okay, first in this situation, in this relationship, how do I keep myself safe? And so maybe it's you're contacting MCVRC to get help with a criminal case because maybe there's something that we can help you speak with the prosecutor to let them know what would be helpful. Is it, that your abuser needs to not have contact with you? Is it that your abuser needs to go through, we talked, and maybe we can circle back to Talia and talk a little bit about the abuser intervention program. And that's a really great program that very few people do. It is very involved. It requires a lot of steps. It's a lengthy process, but it's one of the very few ways, because most abusers don't need anger management, because all that anger management is going to teach them is that you, the victim, are the trigger. And so you're the problem. And so it only perpetuates the domestic violence. And so maybe there's something less than a criminal charge or criminal conviction on that abuser that's going to help you in your situation. And MCVRC can assist with that. And it can require certain conditions and things like that. And so you can see if someone's going to be willing to work to change themselves to be a better person, or if this is kind of a situation that you need to get out of. And so I think Talia was also talking about safety planning when you're in different situations. So like, what if something, happens while you're in that relationship, and then, okay, then you have a safety plan to get out of that relationship, to move away. well, wherever you're living now, you now need a new safety plan, and whether it's using Safe at
Mhm.
Home or other programs and other ways that you're protecting yourself, whether it's you're changing settings on your social media, you're changing your phone number, those types of things are all things that you need to consider and to be working on. And once again, say this is a very serious case, the abuser goes to prison. What are you going to do when the abuser comes out of prison, and what's your safety plan then? So it's always something that as you're walking through the criminal justice system, it's not like this static, like, oh, they get convicted and everything is solved and
Like
all
done.
the problems
Yeah.
are over. Yeah. So it's continually an issue that that people need to consider, to think about, and to work with MCVRC. We can help you in addressing some of those concerns. Obviously, working with CAP or another similar organization, depending where in the state you are, that's very, very helpful. And also, I think both Hannah and Talia discussed, they do counseling also, and helping to do that counseling and realizing where you are as a person and why you might be in this domestic violence situation, and kind of working on those steps so you don't go and get into another relationship that is similar to your last relationship is very important. And so all of those things just kind of build on each other. It's a big process. It's not a simple thing of just getting out of a relationship. There's a lot of steps to it, and you just need to, slow down, take it one step at a time. But just know that it's not one thing that you're going to do that is going to magically solve all of these problems.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for that, Joanna. And definitely, I mean, the programs that they have available, um, you know, we're getting better as a society, and that self-care is really important in these aspects, learning who you are and learning what you deserve, and doing all the things. Support groups are great because it's more similar people that are in similar situations that can really identify and help support you, even if it's just emotionally. Um, is a great way to kind of make sure that you're in a good space, and getting advice from people that have lived it, and not just someone who's uh, trying to guide you in a different direction. And then Talia, I wanted to go back to, because Joanna mentioned it, the abuser intervention program. Can you talk about that and how who signs
Yeah.
up and how they sign up?
So we have the program. We basically get referrals, whether it be from probation officers, whether it be from judges or the state's attorney. We do also have people that actually volunteer to come to the program. The program is a 26-week Maryland certified program, and you would basically call our hotline and you would basically sign up. We would do an intake on you, and through the intake, we will see if you are a fit for the program. A part of the program is that you have to have committed some type of violence, whether it's physical, emotional, verbal, sexual, whatever the case may be. You have to be able to say that you perpetrated that type of violence. It basically holds you accountable for your actions. Then there is the program is every Tuesday at 5:30. And we do different assignments every week. Sometimes you have homework that we go over in the session, or you actually have homework that's given and you bring it back the next session. And we take attendance every week. You have three, we'll allow up to 3 absences. The 4th absence, you are dismissed. And part of the rule for the program is that while you're enrolled, you are not to perpetrate any type of violence. Any type of violence, and we get a whiff of it through your probation officer or the state's attorney, you will be dismissed from class, and you would have to sit out and re-enroll at the next enrollment. The class actually teaches you how to change your behaviors, know what your triggers are, know why you did what you did, what made you perpetrate some type of violence, and what can we do to help you not do that anymore. At the end of the program, you get a certificate, and you get a coin that said, I've made a change. And the purpose of it is so that I'm not going back again. We try to keep you from not relapsing from the behavior, but to be able to maintain healthy relationships, whether that means moving from the victim or maybe making relationships mend and moving forward. So I've seen some graduates come through the program and do a magnificent job. And then we have some repeat offenders and they're just trying to get it right. So,
yeah. And I think that, thank you for that. I mean, I definitely, we talked about it earlier as far as, catching those teens, right? Catching those teens and saying like, you don't have to accept these things, but also on the other end, some of those learned behaviors on how you deal with people. Sometimes
right.
those are learned from families. And, it's really about like leaving that toxicity, right? Like, you don't have to grow to be the same person that did XYZ things.
Right.
And none of us are perfect. We're always a work in progress. And I think this is a great program. I learned about it not too long ago. Yeah, I think I learned it from you.
Probably when you and Danielle came in.
Yeah, I think I learned it. Yeah. And I think that it's great because I mean, it really is. And it's almost like, not the same, but the same, like marriage counseling. Like, let's see if we can just kind of grow and figure this out. And you can try again. You can try to be a better person. And I think that also, did I learn this, that you can also have it included in your, I'm sorry, not the violent person, the other person, the person that is having violence occur to them can have it included in the court, like requirements for.
They can request. They can request it, and that goes through the state's attorney and the judge. So that could be a part of their relief in the protective order. It's saying, I don't necessarily want to see him go to jail, but I would like to see him get some type of counseling and not anger management, as Joanna said, because we all know that anger management and the abuse program are different. The abuse program isn't counseling. And so people tend to think, oh, I'm in counseling. No, you're in a program that helps you to change your behavior. So it's not counseling. So we do recommend, maybe you may need some counseling. Maybe you may need to look further into the intake process and why are we here? Are we here because maybe I may have a substance abuse problem, and when I'm using substance abuse, that's when my triggers occur and that's when I perpetrate the violence. So it's just a little bit of everything that in those 26 weeks we get to dive into and just see what we can do to help people change their behaviors.
Thank you so much. And thank you for adding in the substance abuse issues. And I think, everyone's case is different and what they need is different. But unpacking, I've been using this term this week, unpacking that bag, right? Lots to unpack there, and everyone is different. And everyone has a different backstory. But we can all kind of move forward. And part of safety planning is maybe the first time around, your person entering into that program is sufficient for you, and then maybe you have to come back around again, and maybe it's no longer sufficient. Maybe the next steps are. And so everyone is different. I mean, everyone has to come up with their plan. You guys help with that, and other organizations can help them put those things in place. Okay, last call for any new topics, and then we're going to wrap up. Thinking.
No, it's always, for me, it's just always a plug to have everyone who is going through crisis to always make sure that they're calling our hotline. If I may, I can throw my phone number out. It's 301-645-3336. We have counselors that are on the call 24 hours a day. So we're always here to help you out whenever way we can.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And then I'm going to put that, give me that number one, CAP.
Yep. 301-645-3336.
All right. I get to, because this little program, I get to, post it everywhere. All right. So in the comments, you guys will see the CAP's phone number. They are located in Charles County. They can help you with resources in your area if you need it. And if you're ready, they can kind of make those connections. We can also do the same. So feel free either way you go. And I guess with that, we can sign off. So last words, and then we'll get out of here. Joanna?
Thank you. No, I think this is a very important topic. We always talk about the importance of safety planning, but we never talk about the details of safety planning. So thank you for Hannah and Talia for giving us all those details and that information. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Hannah?
Yes, it's very good. I mean, we appreciate you having us here and talking about this. Like, Joanne just said, it's one little step that I feel like gets overlooked a lot. So we really appreciate it.
Thank
Yep,
you. And then
so-
Talia, any other plugs out there?
Yeah, so just again, just keep us in mind whenever you need some help. Remember that we do have the AIP program, we have the teen support group, and we also have the peer support group for anyone that is not necessarily ready for counseling, but would like to talk to other people that may have been going through the same thing that they're going through. So, and all those services are complimentary for the teen support groups and the peer support group. Of course, the AIP program is $30 a week, so it totals out to $780.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. So thank you, anyone that is watching at home. We appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you getting a little bit better about resources that are available, outside. You really never know who you're going to help. Please share this. Someone might be watching it. Someone might need it. You just don't even know who you could be helping and if you could save a life. And so share that info, grab their phone number. We are at 1-800-VICTIM-1, 1-800-VICTIM-1. So you got to, type you don't have to do it like before, but you can see the numbers on there. Numbers and letters on there. Victim 1. Our walk is coming up in April.
So real quick, Sandra, we're 877 victim 1.
Oh, 877 victim 1. Oh my gosh. Clearly, let me type that in too. 877. I'm just getting corrected all over the place today. It's a good day. It's a good day. That means I'm learning today. All right. So there you go. That's in the comments as well. If you guys need us, please reach out. We do try to also connect you with other resources like CAP. But if you need free legal services as far as crimes concerned, please reach out, let us know, and make sure you give us a follow. Okay. Thank you, ladies, so much. And we will see you guys next time.
Thank you.
Bye.